So my name is Margaret Nakayima. I am a junior at UMass. This is my third semester studying Swahili. My major, I'm a management major with a women, gender, sexuality studies minor. And I wanted to study Swahili because I am Ugandan and it was the closest thing I could find to Luganda, which is the language that my family speaks. And I don't know, I'm just like very into African culture and just like especially East African culture, and I thought Swahili would be a great way to connect with other people that come from that part of the world. And also I really liked the 3 and 1.5 credit options, so I opted for the 1.5 credit course because there was no way I could have learned the language if it was 3 credits because it would have been too much. So
you have I guess like kind of the humanities you said minor,
yeah.
The women gender studies,
Mm-hmm.
and then the management. So where do you see well, I was gonna ask this later, but I'll ask this now. Where do you see the language fitting into those different study tracks?
You know, I don't really know. I have no idea. I just like, I've always loved languages. I don't know, I just kind of do whatever I want. That's really it. Like, if I like this, I'm gonna do it. If I like women's studies, I'm gonna do it. If I like languages, I'm gonna do it. Like, that's pretty much how it works. But I have kind of been thinking more about businesses that do business in like East Africa, and maybe the Swahili would be an asset. But for right now, it's just kind of cool walking around with my Swahili book and having people ask me like, "Whoa, you take that here?" And I'm like, "No, not here, but Five College." And it's also helped me get the word out because a lot of people don't know that these classes are offered, or they don't even know that this space exists. So I kind of like being like a brand ambassador almost. And you know, like, how many people do you come across that say they know Swahili on a daily basis at least? Not many. So
Yeah.
I like being one of those people.
So how did you hear about the center?
How did I hear about the center? I don't really know. How did I hear? I don't know.
Like, you think you were just
Did you see a
Googling
poster?
or a post?
A poster.
Actually,
Posters all over.
yes. I think because I just really like college. So I just like seeing like majors, minors, certificates. So then I looked at the African Studies certificate, which then there's a language component to that. And then I saw Swahili, and then I looked at the UMass page to see why Swahili wasn't there, and I was like, okay, because it's not through UMass. So then that's how I found out about the program, and I even found out like the first week of school last fall. So everything was kind of quick. I emailed Amy, and she was like, okay, well, there's already been a week that's passed. And I was like, I don't care, I want to take it. So yeah, it happened very, very quickly, and I'm really glad that I made that snap decision to take it, because like, no, actually I'm going to take Swahili, whatever. Let's see what happens.
Because it's like, it's probably really different from your other, it's like very
Yes.
not traditional in the way the classes are formatted, and also just like the language itself.
Yeah.
So it's probably like a breath of fresh air, I would
It
imagine.
really was / has been, so I'm really glad that I did that. I'm glad I don't think before I make decisions.
Yes, I like that we got that on camera. We need more people to be like that.
I
And you
know.
take it with Agnes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She really is.
Have you met Judith?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
That's who I do my conversations with.
Oh, cool.
Last semester and this semester.
Cool. Yeah, they're awesome. Okay, so I guess I'm interested. So I guess how similar is Swahili to, and what is the language spoken in Uganda? Luganda. How similar is it?
They're actually very similar. Like, sometimes I'll be with Agnes and she'll say, okay, what's this? And then, you know, I'll say it in Luganda, like, okay, like maybe it'll translate. And she'll be like, no, actually that's not what it is. And then I'm like, okay, well, I just don't know what it is. So sometimes she'll say things and I'll know what it means because I know what it means in Luganda. But they're both Bantu languages, which is also what I've learned. The like similarities of the languages and the different words that really sound the same, or they have the same root. Also, because I'm first generation American, I'm not like fluent in Luganda, so Swahili is actually teaching me like grammatically how things make sense, and how things that I do know now I can actually see like, okay, this part represents I, this part represents present tense, and things like that. So it's been really, really helpful for me.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
so interesting.
It's-
So when you
yeah.
go home, you speak Luganda to your parents, or it's kind of like a mix, like a
It's
typical.
like, right. It's like
like,
it's like
first
Lugandish.
Yeah, that's so typical.
Yeah, it's like I won't really speak back. Like they'll speak to me or about me, and I'll just be like, "Thanks, I know what you're saying," but okay. So kind of more like that. Like I went to Uganda this past December, and I pretty much understood everything. So it's like I can understand, but like not really speaking. But because I know Swahili, I can understand like how to grammatically set up sentences, which really doesn't make a lot of sense, but like I don't know, that's just how it works.
No, totally, because like, so I guess heritage, you would kind of be like a heritage speaker of Luganda, right? And I think the definition is that you can speak and or understand, but maybe can't read and write and don't know grammar.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting that you're learning it, because you've never taken Luganda in a classroom, obviously, right? Yeah, that's so interesting. How has studying the language changed your perception? Well, you kind of addressed this a little bit, but how has it changed your perception of the language? Like, did you knew that history before, obviously, from your parents?
I didn't.
So you've kind of learned the history through the study of the language?
Yeah. But you know, it really just made me realize that like I could learn it. When I started, I was like, okay, I'll just do it for a semester. And then Agnes was like, no, you're gonna keep doing it until you graduate. And
I always see you guys, you're like laughing it up in the room. Like.
So she was like, no, you're not leaving. You thought, but no, you're not. And I was like, okay. So I didn't think I was going to be able to really retain anything, or like to really be able to see Judith or see Agnes and greet them in Swahili, or, you know, like maybe not be able to say things right off the bat, but know how to say something or like structure something in my head. I didn't think I was going to get to that point, because I was like, what is Swahili? Like, I don't know any of those languages. It's not French, it's not Spanish. I can do that, but I can't do that. So it just made me realize, like, not to write off languages that are not particularly Western, and just to really learn like how languages borrow from each other, and like learn that I could also learn those languages too, because Swahili borrows a lot from Arabic, and I never thought about considering Arabic like ever, but because I learned Swahili and see the Arabic words, now I want to learn Arabic. So it really just opened the doors for me to learn more about like language acquisition, and not really close off any opportunities that I might have to learn any particular language.
Do you think that being in this format, like it can definitely be intimidating to be one-on-one, or you're just one-on-one with both of them?
Just one-on-one.
Like, I don't know if you've taken language classes in the past, but that was for me when I did Arabic here a very crazy and intimidating experience, but ultimately, you know, I learned a lot. I'm wondering what your experience has been with the format. If you like it, if you know, there are parts that you wish could have involved more people, or?
Honestly, I love it. Last spring, I had 2 other people in my conversation session, and it was good, but honestly, it gave me some leeway to like slack a little bit, you know, like, cause she would call on somebody else, and then I would hear them say something, like maybe I wouldn't know how to say something, and then I'd just copy them, or, you know, I'd be like, okay, it's not my turn yet, it's okay. And like, not necessarily zone out, but not necessarily be 100% present. Whereas now it's like, you better know this, because there's nobody else in the room. So you need to know. And it just holds me accountable. Also, you know, classes at UMass, I'm lucky if I have like less than 20 people in a class.
You're doing Eisenberg. Yeah. See, I did the humanities, so I had like, you know, 10,
had
whatever.
You had the smaller class. My women's studies classes were smaller, but more so for business, like it's like 40 people in a class, and it's just not, it can be fine, but you know, I never get the chance to have one-on-one time with the professor, or, you know, really talk about what I'm learning with them. So it's like, I found that to be very appealing, and also that's like my selling point when I try to sell one of the languages to people. I tell them like, hey, when are you ever going to get one-on-one time with somebody? Think about that 300 person lecture that you're always in. It's nice to switch it up, so I like it a lot. Yeah.
How have you found that your language study has, even just what, through this is the 3rd semester, that it's affected your stuff at UMass, like your management or women gender, like the way you think about, have your interests changed kind of within that, or the way you think about things, or is it just totally very separate from the other two?
Actually no. It's really helped me, kind of, in a way, it's kind of like built a bridge for me through like everything that I'm studying, because I don't know, things can be very like US centric or Western centric, especially in business, especially not so much in women's studies, but it can happen. Actually, no, it usually does happen that way. It's usually US centric. So learning Swahili has just made me realize, like, well, there are people all over the world and businesses all over the world, and just because I'm not necessarily learning how businesses are run there doesn't mean I can't work in businesses in that world, or learn about people from that part of the world. So it's really just made me like not close-minded, especially because now I have the confidence to know that like if I was to go there, I could talk to people. It's different if you're thinking like, okay, I'm never gonna be able to talk to people, but I can. So now I'm just like, okay, yeah, no, I could do more things with this business degree than I imagined. I don't only have to work here. I don't only have to seek opportunities where I'd only be speaking English. So just things like that.
So in terms of like a career, you think, well, you're a junior, right? So it's probably too early to be doing the job fair stuff, but you think that you would bring up Swahili if you were to go to a career fair?
Oh, I always, Swahili is on my resume.
So that's your that's a selling point that, yeah.
Oh,
awesome.
Swahili is on my resume. First semester that I took it was on my resume.
Yeah, first week of like.
Yeah, Swahili beginner, it's fine.
Yeah. Have you taken an OPI? Or do you don't do a test on the phone, do you?
I don't do a
Okay.
test on the phone.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile for you to eventually try to get tested so that you can put a level on the resume. Because I got a test once, and that was like 4 years ago, and I've still put the level on the resume. Like,
really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of
ACTFL, the American Council for Teaching Foreign Language. They have like
Oh.
intermediate, advanced, novice. Like they go through all the levels, and if you want to seriously plug it might be good to have a level.
I'm
I don't know.
gonna do
Yeah.
that. No, thank you. I'm gonna do that now.
No, yeah, for sure. Because I study Arabic and I'm like trying to put all that, trying to make it, as cool as it is on the resume. Yeah, you definitely do. Especially in management though, because you probably have so much competition. Well, there are a lot of things that make you stand out, like being a woman, right? That's like probably a big deal. But I feel like having foreign language, especially a less commonly taught one, is probably really good. Yeah. Have you gotten anyone else, any of the other management people to get on board, or is anyone else interested, or?
No.
Probably not, yeah.
Yeah, I really
I guess
haven't.
you gotta be a particular type of person to.
I did get one of my residents is taking Turkish, and that's because I forced her to. Well, I didn't force her to, but I'm really persuasive. So I sold it to her, and now she's taking it this semester. So, and she's HTM, so she's also a business student. So that helps, but it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard because in the Eisenberg world, it's like, do something that is going to be an asset. And sometimes people don't think language is an asset, especially if they're like, it's an African language. Like, what am I going to do with that? Or, these are the people who are like, I'm going to get a minor in IT because companies will hire me because of that. They're not really thinking like, let me learn Turkish. Let me learn
So if you were to, you kind of talked about this a little bit, but if you were to sell languages as being a crucial asset to management or HTM or any of the business related fields, how would you sell it? And you talked about, being more open-minded, expanding your perception of what, business is. But are there any other things that you would say to try to encourage people, particularly those like very unlike me who did humanities, right? It's a natural path.
Right.
But someone who's so, numbers, research, who might be interested.
I don't know. I guess I just tell them like, because this is also how I sold Turkish to one of my residents. I just kind of tell them like, just do what you like and like be different. Don't be afraid to be different. They're so afraid to have something on their resume that requires explanation. Not everything has to be clear cut. People want, that's a story. When people see Swahili on my resume, they say, how did that happen? Like, do you speak that at home? And then we go into a story about how I'm interested in all these different things. And when employers see that you're interested in so many different things, they see that you are somebody that's going to be able to do anything that they give you. And that shows flexibility, that shows growth. And, of course, they're all about being marketable and making themselves look marketable. And I guess I would just kind of try and fit it in that way, like kind of tell them, this is a different way of being marketable, and just don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, especially here, because Agnes and Judith's primary reason for teaching me is for me to learn. That's the best thing about the language program here, is that I really feel like they care about me learning. They don't care if I say something incorrectly, they'll correct me, but they want me to learn. And for them, it's like it's all about the grade, but it's not all about that here. And I feel like that's what makes learning languages easier, and it might seem a little less daunting if you kind of show them the commitment to learning that everybody here has. So I'd probably phrase it that way.
Yeah, that's really good. When you went to an advisor, I don't know if you have Eisenberg specific advisors.
Kind of.
So like when you went to an advisor to pick classes or whatever, did anyone ever suggest taking a language as a potential path?
Mm-mm.
That's
No.
interesting. Yeah.
No.
Because I would think that like that would be a really unique suggestion to a student, right? Like make
Yeah.
your, because everyone's resume, like you said, probably is exactly the same. No explanation necessary. You did this,
Yeah.
like this internship. So I feel like it would be worthy, it would make sense for an advisor to be like, take Turkish, take Swahili.
The funny thing about that is that they're very pro study abroad. They're very pro get out there, go see the world, but not pro go take a language. They're not necessarily against it, but I wouldn't really see somebody say, go take Spanish, go take this, go do this. It's more like, oh, you want to study abroad? Good, that'll look good on your resume. But never like, oh, you want to take this language? Go do that. So, which is really interesting. Yeah, and I thought I would have a language requirement too when I was there. So that's what I was so excited to come to college for. I was like, yes, I get to learn a language, and they're like, oh, you don't have one.
No
So,
language requirement.
No language requirement. No.
I feel like, doesn't UMass in general have a 2-year language requirement or something? Don't they?
No, it's only HFA.
Yeah, HFA.
So you don't, as a UMass student who doesn't do HFA, you don't have to take any semesters of.
SBS does. Potentially. It depends on how they want to fulfill their global ed. But other than that, no, you don't
So,
have one.
How do you think, like, let's say the vast majority of people in Eisenberg did, and then the business field in general, did pick up a second language, especially the less commonly taught ones, but even, Spanish or French. How do you think, this is very general and hypothetical, but how do you think that the field of business would change?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I feel like it would change a lot because you'd have more people, and I don't want to make this generalization, but I'm going to assume that a lot of the languages taught here are not necessarily languages spoken in like developing nations, but like is that like an appropriate assumption?
It's actually here in this center kind of an interesting balance. Like we have a good number of East African languages, some dialects.
We have Haitian Creole.
Yeah.
Haitian Creole, I saw that.
But I think this is a unique place. So in general, like it's mostly like countries with a predominantly white population, a lot of Eastern European. Yeah.
But basically like for the most part, places like the languages that I've seen are not necessarily places that people are like, I want to go there. So I feel like it would bring so much more economy to those places because people would know the language, so they'd be willing to do either business there or business with businesses there or in those countries. And I feel like it would just be, it would do a lot for the business world, which is what I want to do, I guess. I don't really know. I'm young, but that was what I was thinking of, and I think it would have been so beneficial for a lot of people to pick up a language that's like less commonly taught. But I don't know.
You're standing out. Look at you.
Yeah.
Like don't until you graduate. I want you to be the only one, and then everyone can hop on it. But
Yeah,
you should be.
but I wanna be the first.
You should be unique.
Yeah. I want to be the first one. But yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So do you have to do like a capstone or something for your senior year, like a final project or?
I know there's one class that I have to do, but I don't know what's required of that.
Because I'm wondering if you could like do something related to Swahili or I don't know.
No, I
Might be
like
interesting.
that. Yeah, honestly, they don't really tell me anything.
Who knows? You don't know until like the day before where they're like, you can't graduate until you have this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying everything and trying to find that balance and trying to like really figure out how everything that I'm studying makes sense together. And
Honestly, it doesn't even have to though.
it really doesn't. Thank you.
No, because and I'm out here, 2 years out of college being like, I regret not doing like African American studies is going to be what I was going to do, or anthro, and I'm like, we've talked about this, like it doesn't matter what
Right.
you study, you don't have
Right.
to connect it, like
That's true.
clearly you're like articulate, so as long as you can like articulate why and like the importance of it, what you've learned, like you're fine.
That's true.
I see people who have like all these amazing connections with their minors and their majors and certificates but can't talk about them.
Right.
I feel like
Yeah.
what do I know? I also don't know what I'm doing, but
I mean,
there you go.
Do any of us though?
No.
Yeah. That's
No,
okay.
you know, I used to hate the term millennial. My parents would be like, millennial this. I think it's actually a thing.
It is a thing.
Like all of us are in some like crazy group where we want to find a job that we're fulfilled by and like want to study something that we'll be fulfilled by. But like none of us have jobs, none of us know what we're doing, but we're all like, you know, we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to go abroad? I assume maybe it's late during this school year or
Yeah, no, definitely not this school year. I tried to find business programs that I could take, like in maybe Tanzania or Kenya or even Uganda, but probably not Uganda, like Tanzania or Kenya. But I couldn't find any that would actually, you know, have me not graduate 5 years later than I need to. So, unfortunately, no.
yeah,
But-
that's real.
When I was in Uganda, I did hear Swahili on the radio, and I translated for my family. So it was fun.
Okay.
The words
Little
that I
steps, though.
knew. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you learn Arabic and it's like you just learned the alphabet. Like that's step one of a long,
6
long
weeks
journey.
in the alphabet.
Yeah, but then you're like, I can read the signs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
suddenly it's like, oh my god, I
I
can
can
keep
sound
studying
out
this.
words.
Yeah, and it's like an
Awesome.
amazing revelation when and it's really cool. Like, I mean, Swahili has the same alphabet as English, right? With like a couple added letters.
Yes. Yes.
I know they used to have an Arabic alphabet, I think, but then it changed.
They did.
Yeah.
These are things I didn't know.
I think, yeah. Like, so as we both study Arabic, and I think
Mhm.
as Arabic speakers, we could pick up Swahili. Like, when
You probably
Judith, when
can.
Judith and Agnes talk, I can understand like 20%,
You probably
which is so crazy. So if you were to hear Arabic, I mean, Arabic is like a little different because it's so many
Yeah.
different dialects, whatever, but I think you'd be able to pick up words.
maybe.
Yeah.
No.
No, for sure. Like, do you have, like, we were talking to Judith,
I do.
there's, have you learned
Cave
Fadl?
Markaba, Cave
Okay, there are some words that she says that I'm like, that's straight up
Yeah.
Arabic, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should ask her. It's really interesting. Like, ask what some of the words are.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I love that too. Like, how do you say Thursday?
Khamis,
Mm-hmm.
same thing.
Alhamisi. Yeah.
I'm like, and then you think about the
Juma.
history behind it.
Juma.
Juma. Yeah.
Juma. Ijuma.
I'm like,
That's Friday.
yeah.
Yeah. Ijuma.
No, it's crazy. Like, and then yeah, you think about the history and like all the similarities that the people
I
share.
had no idea of this until this past few weeks.
Same here, I'm
Talking to
It's
kids.
awesome.
It's insane. Yeah.
I love it. Oh,